If everyone could please take their seats. If everyone could please take their seats. We will begin in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay. Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. We'd like to call the meeting of the Wayne County Commission to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioners Dobb and Colleen have requested an excuse.
Oh, Commissioner Jesus.
Have a quorum present.
Okay, thank you so much. Next item, please.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States
Please
of
stand for
America.
the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Republic for which it stands, one nation.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Invocation.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce our invocator for this morning. I would like to introduce Ms. Beverly King, who is the executive assistant in my office. Ms. King has been a member of Bethany Baptist Church for over 25 years under the tutelage of the late Pastor Bullock. The current pastor is Pastor John Marks. Beverly is so involved in our community and so involved with Bethany Baptist Church. Her husband is a deacon at the church, Deacon King, as we call him, because that's his name, Deacon King. And Beverly has been a part of the youth council at the church, the core group, the community outreach at that church, and just throughout District 7 as a whole. So it's my pleasure to bring to us Ms. Beverly King to do our invocation for this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Father God, we come to you this morning humbly asking your presence upon this Wayne County Commission meeting. And Father, we ask that you would grant them wisdom, courage, and strength and compassion as they work together for those that they serve under your guidance, Father. And Father, we just ask you to teach us to pray as you taught your disciples, by saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you so much. And I forgot to mention that she is an awesome singer as well. So I'm sure we will hear her sing sometime in the very near future at one of our upcoming commission meetings. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Reading, correcting, and approval of the journal.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Palmera. Oh, Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydun.
Move for approval. Support.
Been moved and supported. Any additions, corrections to the journal? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
Report from the chair.
I'll save a few announcements that I have for the end of the agenda. Next item.
Unfinished business, there is none listed. We are moving to page 2 of the agenda, offering of all petitions, ordinances, resolutions, and presentations. There is one resolution on the agenda and one on the addenda. Item number 1 is a resolution by all commissioners designating Wayne County as a green light for Veterans County and recognizing the month of October through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022, as a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service.
Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank all of the commissioners that have agreed to approve this resolution and co-sponsor it. We know that the sacrifices of veterans all over the country, we actually reap the benefits of that, right? And so this green light resolution is called Operation Green Light, is a national initiative sponsored by the National Association of County Officials. So all over the country, we are recognizing and honoring veterans for their sacrifice and their service by lighting up. We're going to light up the Guardian Building. That's the gist of what we're going to do. But we're also asking the public to light up green in honor of veterans, November 7th through November 13th. We in Wayne County have about 85,000 veterans currently, but every day there are more that transition into the community, and we want to recognize them, and that's what Operation Green Light is about. So I asked for all of your support and you gave it, so I move this resolution.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion on the resolution? Let me just say that I want to thank Commissioner Baker McCormick for bringing this to us at our board meeting, our NACO board meeting over the summer. This was brought to all of the board members who serve at the NACO level to take to our respective counties across the country. And I'm glad that she's bringing this to Wayne County, and the administration has agreed to do the green light as well for the Guardian Building. It'll be amazing to see county buildings across the country lit up over those days to show solidarity with our veterans. Commissioner Basham.
Madam Chair, I couldn't help, and I'm going to support this resolution, but I couldn't help but think about when I was in the Air Force back in the 60s. I made $60-some a month. I could spend it any way I wanted to. And there's not a lot of conversation about the people that are serving, male and female, stateside or overseas. So we should take a serious look. If we really want to care about veterans, let's look at their health care and their wages and things like that. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Absolutely.
And to that point, I do want to thank you for your service, and also Commissioner Kniezek for his service as well. They are veterans as well as I am. So we'll looking at other ways to assist veterans. And I think Randy Walker, is he here? No, he's not here. Okay. Well, I thought he wanted to say a few words as well, but the Director of Veteran Affairs for Wayne County.
Well, we're honored to have you three serve on the Wayne County Commission. They have three veterans that I think is probably unique to most county commission boards. So I want to thank you all for your service. Any additional discussion on this item? Jordan. Turn your mic on at the bottom. Official Michael Turner owner. Got it.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Melita Jordan. I'm the Director for the Department of Health, Human and Veteran Services. Mr. Randy Walker would have been here this morning. Unfortunately, Mr. Walker is sick, and so therefore he's not here. But he also very much wanted to be a part of this, and also sponsoring and encourage that we also have the green light, and so we will be doing that. We have a number of activities that are planned also for this month. In addition to, we are certainly making sure that we provide, whenever possible, all of the needs and services that veterans need. And I certainly do support making sure that we take a look at and can provide the commission with a report in terms of salaries across the county as well as nationally, in addition to perhaps what advocacy is happening across the country to sort of promote the increase, not only for healthcare services, but also additional services that's needed for people within their homes. And so we certainly are continuing to provide with the funding that we have for housing, as well as healthcare services and food, in terms of making sure that families receive the additional support and supplement from the federal government, as well as from the state and from the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Varga?
Thank you. One way that we could honor our veterans even more is to be able to find a deputy director for the director, but we only paid $37,000 to start that out. So if we really want to do the kinds of services that we need to pay the deputy director a heck of a lot more as we look at other departments and sub-departments. It is a shame that that position starts with that amount of low. So we need to do better for our veterans to be able to find a good deputy director for the Veterans Division, who will be a veteran, I hope. But let's start there. So I wasn't going to say anything, but I just couldn't help it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. You're on point. Thank you so much. Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you. Along the same lines as Commissioner Varga mentioned, we do need to add up that position. And I know we put money in the budget a couple of years back, I believe it's 3 or 4 years, to have a outreach person for the Veterans Affairs Department to be able to go to the downriver and out county and meet people in a place that they wouldn't have to drive all the way downtown, pay for parking. Some of them are disabled, some of them are in wheelchairs, and it's a major issue for them to be able to get in, park, and get to the building here. So I just wanted to mention that our current director had for that heading up the Veterans Department did in his role as mayor of Garden City, they did allocate a space in their new location on Radcliffe in Garden City. Very nice office for that to take place in. So they're going to be meeting the veterans at no cost. It's not costing the county anything for that location in that nice building. Used to be the satellite office or satellite location for Schoolcraft Community College. And the city bought it and they've dedicated this one space, and it's a nice large space to meet with veterans. And that should be, I think it's going to be operational by after the first of the year. Okay, but I wanted to say hats off to him for doing that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
With the support of the director, of course.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Next item.
We're moving to the addenda for the second resolution, a resolution by Chair Bell proclaiming October 2022 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month and honoring breast cancer patients, survivors, and their families, and promoting continued research and ultimately finding a cure for this dreaded disease.
Thank you. As you know, there were several walks over the last few weeks in recognition and raising money and awareness for breast cancer awareness and for the Cancer Association. So please remind the ladies in your life to get their mammograms if they haven't done so. That is the best way for early detection. Cynthia Douglas, our staff person, who's also a member of the Women's Commission, learned a lot of information about African-American women and breast cancer and a particular trait that's in African-American women. And because we're not in the trials, it's hard to diagnose and get medication. So she'll be bringing a resolution through the Women's Commission to us as it relates to that particular issue. But just in general, please, ladies, remember to get your mammogram. I want to thank Commissioner Marecki, who was on my tail earlier this year to get mine because it had been a minute myself. So I just want to remind everyone to let's celebrate the survivors and then also do what we can to get our mammograms to prevent this dreaded disease and hopefully find a cure. Commissioner Varga?
Thank you. I had a little scare last year, and everything was fine. And I thank God for it. It made me retire early. Because you just never know. I would love to have the discussion here at Wayne County about what we cover in our healthcare for women. Women with dense breast really need a special exam, more than just a mammogram. Mammogram doesn't always catch it. And instead of having to go through surgery or a needle biopsy, it would be nice if we could have Blue Cross, our insurances pay for either MRI or some other scan. So I would hope that those of you who are staying behind would work with the administration to at least see if we could add that as a coverage into our insurance here at Wayne County. That would be a big service and it would save lives. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. And I'll just share a little bit about my story. I had a situation where they wanted to go in and do additional testing. And that additional testing cost was $250. And my question was, the doctor said I need to get an additional test to make sure I don't have anything. Why am I paying $250? You know, I could afford it, but those ladies who can't, I mean, what do you do in that situation? So you're telling someone to wait another year until their annual exam when something could be caught in the meantime. So you're absolutely on point with that. And we'll have that conversation with Blue Cross Blue Shield and our other providers because that would save lives, especially for those ladies who can't afford that interim office visit and the cost of that interim office visit to get additional testing. So thank you for that. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention that there is a program in the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. It's operated out of that department, and it's a bill that I sponsored. You might have seen the pink ribbon license plate that's out, and I sponsored that and was able to get that passed through. And what that does is it dedicates funds to go into the breast and cervical cancer control program, which has been in existence for quite a few years. And any woman or man, rare cases, men get breast cancer as well, but that it has to be treated. Even the examinations, they can apply, not the individual, but the hospitals are able to access that money in clinics from all over the state of Michigan. So it's something that everyone should be aware of, and also consider buying a breast cancer awareness license plate because the funds go directly to that account. And are available to women all over the state of Michigan, and it should cover the cost.
That's good to know, and
so-
if you don't mind giving us more information so we can push that out to our constituents. I don't think women know about that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've tried to get Coleman they worked with me on that, representatives of Coleman, but their events, they don't really publicize it like they should, because it would be beneficial getting the word out.
Absolutely,
But-
especially if it goes to hospitals can access those dollars. So yes.
And it just starts by people getting that license plate. Then the money will continue to roll in every renewal will roll in a certain amount of money into that fund. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Please share that with us. Commissioner Varga?
One more tidbit that not many women know, but I think it's important that we also discuss with our insurers the coverage for a ultrasound for women over 50, because normally, or a lot of times, cancer of the uterus start with thickening of the wall. And you don't know that by a pap smear. And so you can have a good pap smear and still have cancer. And so thank God, again, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, my doctor sent me for an ultrasound and found out stage 1A cancer. I had an operation, came out cancer-free after a hysterectomy. So early detection, but that also is not covered just by asking. It has to be ordered. So I think it's really important that we add that as well, because we could save a lot of lives by early detection there too. So ultrasound on both sides. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's awesome information, and I'm sure that the administration heard us and that they will look into our coverage with our medical providers to see how we can possibly get those
It's
added.
much cheaper.
Yeah,
than
yeah. It's cheaper on the
prevention is
preventative
cheaper.
side than on the, if you should have and then have to treat.
Yeah.
So preventative is also always more cost effective.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there a motion for the, thank you.
Support.
And that's for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month resolution. It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. No, let's open this up for co-sponsors, please. Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to open the board for co-sponsors. Let us know when the board's open.
It is now open for co-sponsors. Sponsors duly noted.
Next item, please. And before we go to the next item, we're going to now discuss the committees, and for our listening audience, we operate in committees where we get into thorough conversations and vetting of the items. They come here to full board for final disposition, but they were thoroughly vetted, discussed during our committee process. Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
Here on page 2 of the agenda, reports from committees. Report A is from the Committee on Economic Development. There are 3 items listed.
Commissioner Haters?
Thank you, Madam the Chair. I move to receive and file item 1 and 2 and item 3 for approval.
Been moved and supported. The Committee on Economic Development. Any discussion on this report? Discussion on Economic Development Report? Hearing none, please vote.
No.
Carries.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Here on report B from the Committee on Public Services, there are 9 items listed on pages 2 through 5 of the agenda.
Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move to receive and file item number 1 and move for approval items 2 through 9. And I have some makers of the motions here. Okay, Commissioner Hattis for number 2, Commissioner Baydun for number 5, Commissioner Palomero for number 8, and Commissioner Kenizik for number 4.
Board.
Oh, and Commissioner Palomero on number 3 as well. 3 and 8.
Item number 2 is a comparable source contract, so you know I'm going to say something about it.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Is there someone here to discuss item number 2? Environmental Consulting and Technology and ECT Engineering. Hello.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Alicia Bradford, DPS Wayne County Parks Director. To Commissioner Basham, number 2 with ECT. This is for Vanoy Dorson Colonial Park, as discussed at our COPS meeting. Again, reiterating, this is a coordinated effort for our Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grant funding projects through the EPA. ECT has been a main partner along with the ARC in advancing and doing the design and project management work for all of the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. This is additional work part of our agreement to put in recreation amenities at these locations because they have the expertise and been able to facilitate serving as project managers on site. We wanted to continue that continuity professional structure with them as they have that familiarity with our projects under the restoration initiatives that are taking place now at the respective parks listed within the agreement.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson, I'm sorry, Commissioner Basham, go ahead.
Basham, right here. I appreciate what you said, but I'm okay if only one company responds. But if you don't put something out for bid just because somebody's qualified, then there's little waves in the back of my head saying, why don't we do this? We're a public body. We're not a private firm. And so I just would hope that, and I know this will pass, but I just want to let you know that I pay attention to comparable sources, especially if you don't bid them out. And it's like, we could bid that out and it wouldn't take that much and get a sole source.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Marecki?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Pam, Commissioner Varga on number 9.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the public services report? None, please vote.
Madam Chair,
Basham?
I'll be a no on 2, just to send a message. Thank you.
So the motion carries. I have Commissioner Basham as a no on item number 2, and the makers of the motion are Commissioner Hattis, number 2, Commissioner Palomero, 3 and 8, Commissioner Baydun, 5, Commissioner Kenizik, 4, Commissioner Varga, 9.
Commissioner Marecki?
3 and 8. Yes.
Next item, please.
We're moving to report C from the Committee on Ways and Means. There are 24 items listed on pages 5 through 9 of the agenda.
Okay, Commissioner Varga, a lot of items.
Thank you. I move approval of the entire Ways and Means Committee report.
Been moved and supported. Are there any items for discussion?
Madam Chair, it's just a lot of moving things around, reconciling all the accounts within the budget that was already approved prior. So it's just bookkeeping pretty well to make sure that all the accounts are in good shape. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Basham.
Someone speak to why item number 23 is retroactive.
Number 23.
Yes, ma'am.
Someone speak to item number 23. Commission, well, let's see, 23 is
We have our
Oh,
budget
Drew?
director.
Hello.
Good morning, Chairwoman Bell. Good morning, Commissioners. In response to the question about the Acacia contract, this was one that we are going to keep our eyes on in the future. There was a change in our procurement director, and this one, honestly, it simply didn't get the attention it deserved when it was about to expire. So this was an error on our part that we are motivated and resolved to avoid in the future. I would take this moment to, herald the good work. I know this is not in dispute or, even a topic raised, but I just want to say that Acacia played a kinetic role in the double bump in our credit rating that we've benefited from very recently from all three credit bureaus.
Basham?
Madam Chair, even though it's retroactive, I appreciate an honest man and I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, Madam Chair.
Unlock.
Yeah, and in the Ways and Means Committee, we did discuss that. I did highlight that fact. And so he was absolutely repeating what he told us in Ways and Means. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Varga?
Could you repeat our rating? So all of the commissioners know we have good news.
I'd like to email that to you because they're different standards for all three ratings bureaus, but I'll send that to you today. We are investment grade and proud to have it.
Good. Thank you so much, Drew. Any additional questions, Commissioner Clark Coleman?
Gotta say, we may be in good shape financially, but we're not in good shape employee-wise.
Good. Very good point. Very good point. Any additional discussion on the Ways and Means report? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion carries.
So much. Next item, please.
Here on Report D from the Committee on Health and Human Services, there are 3 items listed on pages 9 and 10 of the agenda.
Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Chair, I move approval of items 1, 2, and 3.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion on the Health and Human Services report? All right, hearing none, please vote.
Carries.
All right, next item, please.
Here on page 10 of the agenda, report from the Committee on Audit, there is 1 item listed.
Commissioner Basham?
Madam Chair, I'd move that audit item at this time. Thank you.
Been moved and supported to receive and file the audit report. Any discussion on that report? Please vote.
Carries.
Thank you. Next item.
On Report F from the Committee on Public Safety, Judiciary, and Homeland Security, there are 8 items listed on pages 10 through 12 of the agenda.
Commissioner Clark Coleman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we receive and file item number 1, and I move approval on items 2 through 8 with Commissioner Anderson as the maker of the motion for item number 4.
Okay, any discussion on the public safety report?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Knizik?
sick. I'd like to abstain on item 7, please.
All right, any additional discussion on the public safety report? Please vote.
Motion carries. Have Commissioner Anderson as the maker of the motion on 4 and Commissioner Knizik as an abstention.
Item, please.
We are on Report G from the Committee on Government Operations. There are 4 items listed on pages 12 through 14 of the agenda.
Commissioner Knizik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move items 1 through 4, please.
Your support?
Support.
Moved and supported the Government Operations Report. Any discussion on the items from the government operations report? Commissioner Basham?
I'll be a no on 4.
No on 4? Okay. Okay, no on 4, Commissioner Basham. Any discussion on this report? Any discussion? All right, please vote.
Motion carries, and Commissioner Basham as a no on item 4.
Let's go to the addenda, the new business items. So, I'm sorry, was there another report? Oh, number 1, yeah. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're on page 14 of the agenda, new business. There are 4 items listed on the agenda and 3 on the addenda. Item number 1 is requesting commission approval of amendment number 8 to a 3-year comparable source contract with 2 one-year options to renew between the Charter County of Wayne and AT&T Corporation.
All right, so these items did not go to committee. They were requested that we take them up here at full board. So they are here for the body's discussion and disposition, however the body sees fit. But we need to discuss what these are and why they couldn't get to committee in time. So the first item, who's here to speak about that one? That's the AT&T contract. It's on.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Ryan Hayes, Division Director for Enterprise Computing and Infrastructure.
Tori Woods, Contract Manager for Department of Information Technology.
All right, explain to us what this is and what the urgency was to come here today.
Well, I'll speak to the urgency for it to come today. Basically, we're submitting it for immediate consideration because it is due to expire at the end of this month, and we knew in an effort to avoid retroactivity, we requested immediate consideration because it could not reach the government operations agenda, and then this one before expiration of the current contract.
A comparable source contract with
AT&T.
AT&T, and this is for our what? Our telephone, our centric system?
Yes, I'll let Ryan Hayes speak to the what.
These are for our legacy circuits that are throughout Wayne County that support things like our emergency elevators, fire systems. So it's older technology.
I'm sorry, it's older technology?
Yes, legacy or older technology.
So are we replacing?
Yes, that is something that we are actively working on with the departments and AT&T to move them to a newer, more supported platform.
Questions from commissioners? Vice Chair Pro Tem Ruben.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You mentioned that this contract expires at the end of this month. If we knew this contract is going to expire at the end of the month, why wasn't it brought to the committee prior to that? What was the reason?
Well, this part of the AT&T contract, we are actually working, we have multiple AT&T contracts coming forward. While we made a diligent effort to bring this before the committee in a sufficient time to avoid the retroactivity, we were waiting on documents from AT&T.
Basham?
Well, this is not new. The old elevators aren't new. Coming from an old commissioner, we should actually maintain them for, and upgrade them as needed. If it was a crisis, I would absolutely support it. But the fact it's a comparable source, the fact that I'm trying to make a statement on behalf of the commission about comparable source contracts, I'm struggling whether I support it or not. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
And can you speak to what we have with AT&T now and why this is a comparable source?
Well, initially, when we started the process of approval for this particular contract, there is a current MyDeal contract that we previously used, but it was the complete approval through MyDeal was not in place when this process started. So we requested it as a comparable source, knowing that it was in the works to avoid retroactivity because we knew we wouldn't be able to receive that approval and go through our process in a sufficient time.
Mr. Kinlock.
First, I'd like to commend the department for actually beginning to understand the important message that we've been sending as it relates to retroactivity. So has, much appreciated as it relates to that. So what you're saying is because the MyDeal contract was approved, this was a part that was still lingering out there that was not tied into that MyDeal contract and was a standalone. And so it had to be acted upon separately. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, so what I'm saying is, when this contract was originally approved, the previous one, it was a MyDeal contract. And so our effort we knew that we were simultaneously, it had the same expiration date, so we knew that we were simultaneously going to have to get this to you guys while we're waiting on them, the MyDeal contract to be completed. So yes, it is tied to the MyDeal contract. And as I said, this was our effort, our diligent effort to not submit a retroactive contract.
And that's much appreciated.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on this particular item? We'll go and we'll discuss all of them and then we'll have one motion for all of them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, number 2.
Item number 2 is requesting approval of amendment number 8 to a contract between the Charter County of Wayne and Memorial Healthcare not to exceed $1 million, extending the term of the contract and adjusting the scope of services to continue providing inmate and employee COVID-19 diagnostic testing.
And who's here to speak to this one?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Melita Jordan, and I'm the Director for the Department of Health and Human Services. I am here to speak to this particular contract. And again, I will start off by saying I do apologize that it is somewhat late. This contract did expire on September 30th. I will also share with you that at the time I did start early, very early in working on this, but I also lost the director for this particular program. And so therefore, my staff and I have worked diligently at the same time that I was working on the MEO contract as well, which we had to shepherd through. So therefore, the negotiations with Memorial, one took a little longer than usual for a couple of reasons. So let me start by saying that the contract, first of all, or the requirement for this is required by the Third Circuit Court that was signed that we, on booking, that we test all inmates at the time of booking for COVID. With that being said, it is also recommended by the CDC. It is recommended by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the National Commission on Correctional Healthcare Standards, NCCHC, that recommends COVID-19 testing for inmates upon booking. And we had started that a while ago. Actually, on May 3rd, we had originally started making sure that everyone was tested. With that being said, we have averaged 600 tests per month for inmates between January 2022 and September 22. As you know, we began to have the community transmission rates. And so as we were looking at the numbers in June, we actually had 60 negative tests. And in July, though, we had, 605 negative tests. In July, we had 517 negative tests. August, however, we had a spike of 700 We had 700 negative, but we had 66 positives. And we had been averaging pretty much 3.6 or 2.3% in our positivity rate, but we did have a spike in the summer. So in trying to negotiate with Memorial, they were insisting that we continue to maintain the program that we currently had. However, knowing that we had a change, knowing that we were having differences and our rates were changing on a regular basis, we really looked at this, and for the last, I think Amendment 7, as you know, we normally were coming back before you every 6 months to renew this contract at about $1.2 million. Was able to actually speak with them and to show them the data that we had collected over time. And so we proposed a different procedure and protocol as we would go forth. I also want to mention that make sure I got the date correct. I want to mention that the sheriff had also initiated a mandatory rescinding of doing mandatory testing on May 6th, which dramatically reduced the number of sheriffs that was being tested on a daily basis. So 295 sheriffs were tested in August through September, and we had no positive tests at all. 13 sheriffs were tested in the first 2 weeks of this October 2022. And again, we've had no positive tests at all. We have 2 testers on site to provide testing for the sheriffs. Now it will be 1 day per week for the sheriffs on Wednesday, beginning at 5 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the morning. Also from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And what that allows is all shifts and all sheriffs to be tested so that we can capture everybody during those shifts. We will continue to be testing inmates every day, 5 days a week with the rapid antigen. And on the 6th day, they receive a PCR test. In addition to that, we are able then to provide the more than 6,946 tests over the course of this contract, which would be ending now in September of 2023. Instead of 6 months, it will be a year. So therefore, we have managed to reduce the cost by 25%. In addition, we have been able to continue to provide adequate services for the sheriffs, in addition to adequate service for all inmates, with managing to make sure that we provide not only the information, awareness, but as well as for those inmates too that would want to be vaccinated, we have the vaccinations available for them as well. So with that being said, we are asking that we can move forward with approving this particular contract to make sure that all inmates and sheriffs are tested, as well as to make sure that we keep the jail with the positivity rate ranging between 1% and 3%, which we have done over the last 2 years.
Thank you. Let me ask you to repeat a couple of things. I
Sure.
want to make sure I understood correctly. The sheriffs are tested every Wednesday. You said that will be the new protocol? of
That's
having them-
correct, once a week.
Once a week, and then the inmates will be tested every day?
Every day.
Each inmate every day?
Inmates upon booking.
Upon
So the
booking, okay,
inmates that
okay.
are coming in that are on, that
Yes.
are.
Okay, but
brought in
once
for
they're,
booking.
once they're inside, what's their routine for checking them once they're there? Once a week, or just upon booking, and that be the only test that they get?
They will only get a test if they get an additional test, of course, when they are released into the general population. They do receive a PCR just to make sure that there are no signs and symptoms. Also, again, on regular inspection, if there is a sick call, inmates are tested also if there is a sick call and/or they are requesting or have signs and symptoms of upper respiratory infection, such as a cold, or if they have a fever, they are tested again.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Basham?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's not a question, it's a comment. I actually got my booster yesterday. That's why I'm sort of dragging today. But I appreciate the good work that you're doing. And this is real, and to be proactive, not reactive, and to be on top of it, which is what you're doing. People should get the word out that this has nothing to do with class, race, anything else. It's about protecting lives in Wayne County. And anyway, what you're doing is commendable. And I just wanted to publicly say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Marecki?
Madam Chair, I'm wondering, do inmates have a choice on whether they want to be vaccinated or not?
They do.
They do have a choice?
Yes, they
Okay.
do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add my comments to what Commissioner Basham said. Ms. Jordan has been phenomenal since she's been working for the county. And I think one of the best additions to this administration in her efforts, her dedication, her responsiveness. And I think I've sang her praises before, but if you have any other commissioner has any questions, she gets back to them very quickly. And she, as I said, is very dedicated and I appreciate her. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a nice compliment, Ms. Jordan.
Certainly do
I'm sure we all
appreciate
feel
it.
the same way. Thank you so much. Any additional discussion on this particular item? Okay, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Next item.
Item number 3 is requesting commission approval of a grant agreement between the Charter County of Wayne and the Federal Emergency Management Agency Regional Catastrophic Preparedness Grant Program in the amount of $1,143,131 to provide funding to support the initial planning and coordination phase of the Wayne County Resilience Hub Network.
All right, this is a revenue grant, so we're always happy to receive money. Go ahead, Luz.
Good morning and thank you, Chair. Luz Meza with Economic Development, Ramsey Ritchie as well with my team. We are asking for immediate consideration today because FEMA has given us a deadline to accept the grant by November 4th. We were gathering the paperwork from them to put all the information into you all. And just the quick turnaround of this was really important.
The grant will do what exactly for us?
A little higher. Yes, the grant will fund the initial phase, the planning phase for the Wayne County Resilience Hub Network, which the Economic Development Department has been read into, or a committee has been read into, but for the rest of you all, looks to invest in community institutions throughout Wayne County by giving them the tools to help their communities respond to moments of disaster, especially things like high heat days, flooding, or a future pandemic.
Yes, Commissioner Anderson.
I would move approval if that's in order.
Take a motion for all of the items. We have one more item. Discussion on this item number 3, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The hub, is it one particular hub that you are forming or is it different locations?
The goal is to start with 8 to 10 different locations throughout Wayne County's communities, focused specifically on those that are high on the CDC's Social Vulnerability Index.
And is there any indication where those hubs would be or?
So they'll operate out of trusted community institutions, which could be a house of worship, it could be a nonprofit or a community action agency. But we're going to put out an RFP, which will be subject to commission approval to decide which locations those will actually be.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marecki.
Just want to congratulate Luz on her new position that we just voted on. So looking forward to working with you still.
Chair,
Anderson.
one follow-up. Just wanted to ask, will we get a progress report on what's happening with this within maybe 6 months or so?
We're happy to do that, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions? All right, and again, congratulations, Luz, on your new position officially. You've been doing the work for a long time, so we're just so proud of that you're in this position now. We look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you. All right. And those that don't know, she's our new Economic Development Director. All right, thank you. All right, number 4, Madam Clerk.
Item number 4 is requesting commission approval of the appointment of Terrence T. Adams to the City of Detroit Local Development Finance Authority Board.
Move approval.
Oh, okay, and again, we're gonna take 1, 2, 3, and 4 together. But we do wanna, as Commissioner Clark Coleman phases out of this position, I'm appointing Terrence to take the position that Commissioner Clark Coleman had at that board, so. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so that's items 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want to do, let's do these 4, then we'll go to those 3. So now I would entertain a motion for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Who moved it?
Kenlock.
Okay, and supported by? Okay, moved and supported these 4 new business items. Any further discussion on these items? Hearing none, please vote. Okay.
Motion carries.
Okay, and before we go over to the addenda with the next 3 items, just want to recognize Bernard Youngblood, our Register of Deeds is here. Stand up, Mr. Register of Deeds, good to see you today. Thank you for joining our meeting today. Did you have any words for us, or you just wanted to see the commission in action? Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
No, you're not going to sing for us?
Next time.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Basham?
I didn't recognize him. He wasn't wearing a kilt.
Oh, we'll get ready for St. Patrick's Day for that. So, okay, next items, Madam Clerk. And I'm sorry, let me say this before we go to the next items. The next items are the CJC items. And as we discussed earlier in the summer, that as these items come through, we would either incorporate them into full board or have a special full board to discuss them. Since they came right as we were approaching this meeting, I put them on today's agenda. So with that being said, Madam Clerk.
Item number 5 is requesting commission approval of a purchase and sale agreement between the Charter County of Wayne and Arcade Land Holding in the amount of $2,300,000 for the property at 5335 Riopelle Street.
And again, we'll take, once we get to that point, we'll take 5, 6, and 7 together. Good afternoon or good morning still. Microphone, please. At the bottom. Yep. Yep, there you go.
There we go. Again, Jim Jernigan, Assistant Corporation Counsel, presenting item number 5 in the new business section. This is the for commission approval for the purchase of the property commonly known as 5335 Riopelle in the city of Detroit, which is a lot that sits adjacent to the new CJC site. This purchase agreement contemplates the demolition at seller's cost of the building that's currently sitting there, and the development and the restoration of the property by the seller to a point where the department can convert this into parking for the new CJC complex. We have after this board approves, hopefully, the purchase and sale agreement, we have a 60-day inspection period, and then a 30-day period to close after that inspection period. So we look to close hopefully within 90 days from maybe next week's date. And we look to move this forward.
After we close, then they will be responsible for demolishing, or will they be doing that within the 90 days?
They do that before closing.
Before close, they'll demolish the building. Okay, and then after it's demolished, this will be a surface lot, correct?
Correct.
When will we think we will begin that portion of this, actually surfacing the lot?
James Heath, Wayne County Corporation Counsel. Good question, Madam Chair.
What I can say, I mean, there are studies that we're gonna have to do that Jim mentioned to ascertain the environmental condition of the lot. We did receive from 2017 and 2018 some baseline reviews of the environmental, but we have we're contracting with an environmental firm, which will let us know exactly what is there and what needs to be done. Certainly, we do believe these lots would be completed at the time of the opening of the CJC. And so I want to thank you for taking this item quickly. What I can tell you is that we will be adding a significant number of parking spaces when you combine this new parcel with DPS lot that we already own, combined for another 260 spaces for the CJC. It's, you know, as this commission is aware, there are ongoing discussions regarding civil courthouse as you pass that Third Circuit funding agreement. And so this is a key to not only helping us to prepare for the move for this current complex, but giving us options as we go forward. And so it's part of that overall plan.
Questions, Commissioner Baker McCormick? I'm sorry.
Square footage of the building, I guess the location that we're looking at purchasing.
It's approximately 1.18 acres. Exactly how that shakes out in terms of foot by foot, I'm not entirely sure, but it's 13,000. The building itself that'll be demolished is 13,000 square feet.
And then how many parking spaces are we looking at from this? Approximately, I don't know.
Roughly 260 additional spaces when you add that with the existing lot, which is right across the street from the facility.
And since we're buying this building and then they're going to demolish it, the appraisal, do we do any type of a appraisal or on the, I guess, the land or even the building? I don't know.
My understanding, and the negotiations go back a number of months, but my understanding is that we did not have a formal appraisal done, but that in relation to the market value of the properties in this particular area, the purchase price is supported by that analysis.
So how do we know that it's supported? The value is supported by, I mean, do we do comparables or how did we figure the price out?
I wasn't involved at the very front end of how the purchase price was determined. I do know from discussions with the building department that the original asking price was $2.5 million, but that was brought down to 2.3, along with the contingency that the seller demolish and restore the property to a condition where we can then use it for the parking lot.
If I can just add one thing, as you know, we have been looking at properties in the area of the existing CJC for quite a while, even going back to our discussions with looking at what Rock owned and what other private developers owned. And so our building folks have a pretty good idea about the going rates for properties in that area. And, you know, somewhat to your point, Commissioner, folks know that we are interested in obtaining more land in that area for additional parking. That's been a very public discussion that we've been a part of. And so there's not very many secrets in that area there with the land and what it's generally worth.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm afraid of is the overinflation of the property because situation we're in. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydoun.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My colleague, Commissioner Baker McCormick, basically touched on all my real estate inquisitive questions on the valuation and the size of the property. What was the building being used for prior, or what's the current use of this property? Is it vacant, abandoned?
It's vacant right now. It had actually been approved. The city of Detroit had approved a site plan for a marijuana facility in 2019. And so it had not, apparently that business had not yet come to occupy the space. And, but that's as recently as 3 years ago. That's what was the intention of the use of that particular building.
How long has this property been on the market? Do we know that?
Don't know. I don't know.
But it was currently listed with a commercial broker, the property. Was it a direct transaction with the owner, or was there a broker involved? In other words, the property was listed open to the public?
I don't think it was. I know that I have not dealt with any brokers during the course of these transactions. I know that there aren't any broker fees contemplated in the purchase agreement. My understanding is that our former economic development guru, Mr. Rahal, had some contact with this particular seller and entered into those negotiations between the two of them.
We were not dealing with a commercial broker on this property. Our conversations, which began, I'd say maybe 6 to 7, 8, 9 months ago, were all directly with the owner of the property, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Great questions. We have our real estate professionals on the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Jesus.
You know, we visit the site with the chairman and some friends, and I got to my attention, the parking lot for the employee was probably 4 blocks away. Is there any plan to move the employee to the?
I couldn't hear the last part of your question, Commissioner. I'm sorry.
Is there any plan to move the employee closer to the facility than leave them 4 or 5 blocks? And you know the weather in Michigan, sometime you come into work in the morning and now we have available space. Is that in the plan to move the employee to closer?
So we anticipate that let me start by saying this. Right now, before this proposal, which is before you, before the proposal, which you're going to hear in a second, regarding the demolition of Lincoln Hall, roughly 1,732 spaces is what we have right now. Our goal is to get closer to roughly 2,500, which we believe will accommodate all visitors, all employees, all those folks who need to be at the CJC area. As to the 2 offsite lots, which have always been contemplated and which were selected well over a year ago, it is our belief that the majority of the spaces in those lots will be made up by, will be taken up by employees and some other visitors to the CJC. One of the, in selecting those lots, which Rod presented to us, distance to the facility were items that we took into account. And by adding new spaces, our hope is that we will be adding spaces closer to the facility that will allow for greater access as needed. And so, for instance, the lot that hopefully you all will approve for paving today for purchase and for additional paving is right across the street from the facility. But, you know, the distance is something that we are looking very closely with, as well as, you know, talking with the city about paving of the sidewalks in the areas between our offsite lots leading to the CJC for safety and walking and the like, as well as continue to work with Commissioner Kinlock with respect to DDOT schedules and the like that will better accommodate. But the distance is something that, you know, is an issue that is not lost on us. And could I shrink the space, I would, but I think what we're concentrating on is getting the number of parking spaces up and looking at spaces closer to the CJC for purchase and additional paving that will make it easier on all of our employees.
To that point, Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydun, and then.
I'm sorry, it's a different question, actually. I forgot to ask this question, Mr. Heath. You may have touched on it and I may have missed the remark. In terms of environmental, is the seller providing a phase one on this property? And are we gonna do a baseline assessment to limit the potential liability of Wayne County in case there's underground contamination?
Answer to both those questions is yes, the seller did provide a phase one environmental report from 2018. We are securing additional through a third-party environmental firm, additional reports and studies on the property. So we will know exactly what is there before we start construction.
But we will do a baseline assessment?
We will, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
Madam Chair, I thank you. James, just wanted to ask you along that same line, is the county off the hook for any expenses for environmental? It sounds like not. It sounds like the baseline is all, or is the seller responsible for the total cost of any environmental?
No, it was a county responsibility, and the county has the right, once we discover everything was there, if we feel that the risk is too great, that we would back out of the agreement if that's what we learn. But the seller is not responsible for cleaning up the environmental site, as for instance, as the developer is with the CJC site. This is not a similar situation, and so that is why we wanted to make sure that we have the ability to get out of the agreement if we needed to.
But is there any agreement that there would be shared costs if we chose to go that way?
No.
Because that was also in the CJC contract.
Correct. No, this is a arm's length seller. We're buying property. We're seeing what's there. If we decide that there's too much environmental risk or concern there, we have the opportunity to back out of the agreement. And so that would be our remedy there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kenlock, then Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Yes, thank you. So we recently approved the civil agreement, civil courthouse or family court agreement with Circuit Court. So we know the parking, what we're hoping that facility at some point is identified, or at least the location is identified over there for the construction of the site. With that being said, so there will be some additional parking that would more than likely be necessary to complement all of the uses that are going on at the CJC and the surrounding area. My question is, taking into account that now is out, we're looking for additional parking, as you just stated, that the property owners in the area absolutely going to be asking beyond premium for their property. Taking all that to account, as far as the ability to find reasonable space, reasonable land at reasonable cost, has any strong further consideration been given to construct a parking deck? I know that the cost is quite expensive, but based on where what we would expect the property owners to be asking for their real estate in the area, has any of that been taken into consideration? And plus, this will be adding permanent parking spaces to our operations and relieving all of the concerns that we have as it relates to parking issues.
You ask such great questions, and you always try to get me on the Civil Justice Courthouse, Commissioner. So let me say this. With respect to Civil Justice Courthouse, let me say this first. The parking needs that I described with respect to 2,500 spaces, that relates to the CJC. That is on CJC. With respect to any potential additional facilities, take, for example, a civil courthouse. Per the terms of the funding agreement, which you all approved several weeks ago, the county and the court, we are jointly putting together a group to begin discussing the design, programming. Part of that at some point, if and when we get to the point of a civil structure, a civil courthouse, would be parking as well. And all of the items that you eloquently addressed would be on the table. But, you know, for me to sit here and tell you that we contemplate a parking structure X number of stories high today, when all I have with respect to the information about our parking needs relate to the current CJC would, you know, I just am not in a position to say that. But we are moving forward in the weeks since you all passed the agreement to begin those sort of discussions.
Okay. As we're looking and talking about pots and pools and of available monies and resources, I'm hoping, because the court is a unique branch of our government, they have a number of different revenue streams, and hopefully there's some discussion around isolating possibly some of those streams to help facilitate some of the costs associated with infrastructure.
100% correct. And quite frankly, under the leadership of Chief Judge Kenny.
He's been great.
He's been wonderful. You know, one of the reasons, to your point, that we're even here today is because of the agreement that we worked out with respect to funding for the $2.3 million, which is being requested for this purchase. And so the court has been a partner. I think there's no greater example of that than the agreement that you all signed you all approved several weeks ago.
Hats off to you and the commission staff and all of you all putting that together, because, you know, been watching it for a while. Yep, thank you.
Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Did we determine, or did you determine what we're going to use this parking for? I know you just said you weren't really sure as to how we would, I guess, use it, but will it be paid parking? Will it be employee parking? Will it be staff for the court? Do you have have you determined?
So at least two questions there with respect to paid versus, you know, whatever. You know, we have reconstituted, and I've spoken with Chair Bell about commission involvement in a parking work group that the administration is putting together. And so by the next time we speak, hopefully I'll be able to report to you, you know, the result of some of that work and those discussions. I am not able to announce a decision with respect to free parking or anything like that at this point. This lot, though, is literally a stone's throw away from the CJC. And there are a number of end users who would like to be closer, whether it's for their employees or for other people, to the complex than the offsite lots that Commissioner Hayes just described. Exactly who's going to go where is not a decision which has been made as of yet.
The 2.3 million, did we counter the list? I guess this was the list price for the property?
Initial offer was 2.5. And so we were in negotiations with the owner and got down to this, and then also brought in the issue of demolition and basic preparation for the lot to be graded as a surface
So
lot.
you did negotiate it
Absolutely,
down
Commissioner.
to 2 points.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, any additional questions on that item? Then we'll go to, I'm sorry, counsel.
Through the chair to this honorable body. So with regards to this agreement, it should be noted that like all purchase agreements, you have other documents that will be needed to consummate the sale, like escrow agreements related to closing. In the past, for purchase and sale agreements, they've needed agreements for inspection of the property. So just note that the resolution does include and clarifies that we're delegating authority for not only this agreement to be executed, but any other related agreements. And we plan to do that moving forward. So it's clear that they have authority to do all agreements related to the purchase, which is what they've done historically. And the resolution reflects that.
Thank you, council. Okay, next item.
Item number 6 is requesting commission approval of a one-year demolition contract with a one-year option to renew between the Charter County of Wayne and Intercity Contracting not to exceed $979.25 to demolish the unused youth home and building C and a cross bridge at the Lincoln Hall of Justice complex in order to create additional off-site parking for the CJC.
Good morning, Carter Fisher with Wayne County Corporation Council. So as you just heard, this is a contract with Intercity Construction, who is a company that we use pretty frequently for different demolition projects around the county. They'll be demolishing some of the buildings at the Lincoln Hall of Justice complex that are no longer in use. So that includes the old youth home, which has been replaced by the current juvenile detention facility, and then building C, which was an office building until recently, and then the cross bridge that connects building C to the buildings that are still in use at the CJC. And so we'll be demolishing those buildings. Even if we weren't doing a CJC project, we would probably demolish them anyway because they are sort of old and costing us more in maintenance than they are worth to keep. But with an eye towards the CJC, we're demolishing those buildings in the hopes of building further parking in close proximity to the CJC. We anticipate that building C should add roughly 78 spaces to our current parking capacity, and the old youth home should add roughly 375 spaces. So a little over 450 spaces total.
Okay, and will that, it's close, but it's still a little ways to walk. So there'll be shuttle services from there to the CJC?
We haven't determined yet whether or not there will be shuttle service, but it's about a block and a half away. So we're not sure yet.
All right, any questions on this item? And I'll just emphasize what Commissioner Kinlock stated about structure parking. I think at some point we should entertain or start looking at what a cost of a structure would be, because it would take, of course, less footprint. We can go up, and I think we could utilize a space better for structure parking. But we appreciate your efforts in trying to find spaces all along to get parking, because of course, that's, as usual, always an issue. Any additional questions on this demolition contract? Next item.
Item number 7 is requesting commission approval of an agreement which consists of an addendum and master subscription agreement with 2 one-year options to renew between the Charter County of Wayne and Brightly Software not to exceed $192,022.55 for a computerized management maintenance system for the CJC.
Carter Fisher with Wayne County Corporation Council again. So we're contracting for a software system, a computerized maintenance management system with Brightly. That's a system that will let us sort of catalog all the items in the CJC that might need maintenance and sort of track their progress as they need maintenance, the end of their useful life, et cetera. So we did a competitive bid for this. We were very impressed. I think I can speak for the buildings division and say we were very impressed with the presentation that Brightly put on, the way that they'll customize this system for us, and the way that they'll train us and sort of work hand in hand with county buildings personnel to get this up and running and really make sure that we understand the system and are using it to its full capacity. So,
have we used something like this before?
We have a system in place now, Avanti, that we've sort of tried to make into a CMMS system, but it's not really fit for the purpose totally. It does have a cataloging software, but it is not customized to be a CMMS program. And we've sort of tried to fit a square peg into a round hole with that system to date.
No questions? Questions on number 7? Okay, entertain a motion for 5, 6, and 7. Moved and supported. Any additional questions on 5, 6, and 7? Hearing none, please vote. Thank you. Next item, please.
Turning to page 14 of the agenda, upcoming meetings.
Okay, please note the upcoming meetings. If there are any changes, please let the clerk know. Please note that we will have a committee of the whole on November 1st. It'll be on ARPA spending. So please note that meeting on November 1st at 10 a.m. Next item.
Here on page 16 of the agenda, testimonial resolutions and certificates of appreciation. There are 12 items listed.
There a motion? It's moved by Commissioner Kinlock or Commissioner Scott. Okay. Did you get it, Madam Clerk? Discussion, Commissioner Clark Coleman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to be included on item number 1, since that's my alma mater. Commissioner Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Pershing High School is my alma mater. Thank you. And also, right now, it's still in my district, but that's okay. Anyhow, yes, I'd like to be included in the make of the motion. And also on item number 6, I'd like to be added to that motion, to that a certificate, or is it a resolution? For the Women's Informal Network, I received a very special honor. I was honored with a very special award from the Women's Informal Network. So I'd like to be included in on that one.
Okay, duly noted. Wayne and Jim, please note that for Women's Informal Network, I'll be taking that and presenting that to them on Saturday night. Okay, any other additions to testimonials, resolutions? All right, hearing none, please vote. Item?
On item number C, memoriams, there are 4 names listed.
Discussion on the memoriams, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 4, Josie, Miss Josie was McWhirter. It was her mom, and some of you may know her. She's a businesswoman and very active in the community. So I just wanted to send my condolences to her family.
Additional comments on memoriams? Okay. Hearing none, let's all rise for a moment of silence. Thank you so much. And of course, we'll keep in our prayers all of those who have lost a loved one. Before Mr. Heath walks out the door, as he's sliding out the door, I don't recall if we've met since your new position. Mr. Heath, our very own Corp Counsel, is now the president of the State Bar Association. We want to give him a round of applause for his accomplishment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just 2 things I want to say about this. I believe I am the second public servant to serve in this capacity in the 88-year history of the state bar, full-time public servant. Others have gone on to be judges and the like. Certainly the second in several decades. So I want to thank County Executive Evans for giving me the opportunity to serve. There is something special about Wayne County because the first was our very own former Assistant Prosecutor, Nancy Deal. And I think it's appropriate for the Wayne County Prosecutor, Kim Worthy. I was a young prosecutor when Nancy was president, and watching her is what gave me the idea that, hey, one day I might be able to serve in that capacity. So there's something very, very special about the leadership in Wayne County, all of you, County Executive, County Prosecutor, that allows us to serve. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to acknowledge Commission Counsel. She is a former commissioner on the Board of Commissioners and served ably some years ago. And so there's a culture of service with respect to the bar in this county. And I want to thank all of you for helping with that.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you so much. That just goes to show of the leadership and excellence that we have here in Wayne County with our employees. So we are so proud and we look forward to you doing great things in that position and your current position. So you have a couple of hats on, so you're a busy man. So congratulations again. We're so very proud to have you represent Wayne County in that position. Commissioner Clark Coleman.
I would just like to reiterate that is it elected or appointed? I just would like to say that that's big stuff.
Absolutely.
You don't just get in that position without having a lot of stuff going for you. So I'm impressed. That is big stuff. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're so very proud. Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention, and for those that served in the legislature, Peter Cunningham, as they work together. I don't know how many of you remember Peter, but he was basically a legal advisor to the caucus in Lansing in the Michigan House for a number of years. And I know James and I have talked about it, and I believe his title is operating officer or something of the bar. Okay, so. Yeah, so we're very fortunate in Wayne County to have some connections like that, and certainly with James, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Public comments.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. Anyone in the chambers to give public comments? You have 2 minutes. Anyone in the chamber? No one's in the chamber. Anyone on Zoom? I see one hand raised. Michael Cunningham, you have 2 minutes, sir. Unmute Michael, or if Michael could unmute yourself.
Hello, everybody under the sound of my voice. Tonight is the Detroit Department of Transportation meeting, and it's a virtual community input meeting. Of course, Thursday night, October 20th, 5 p.m. The meeting ID number 962-6808-2855, or you can call into the meeting 1-312-626-6799. I'm asking all elected officials, after 6 p.m. and on the weekends, public transportation is at its worst. And I'm asking for empathy. And even though you have no purview or control over DDOT, you guys have power. You can make mention of, advocate with people that do, city council. So please ride the coaches, the buses after 6 p.m. and on the weekends. Some things I do as a poor man, with the monies I do have, I give out hand warmers and bus tickets. You know, folks have waited an hour and a half, you see them, you driven where you need to go, come back, and they're still standing in the same spot, waiting on the coaches in cold climate weather. So I'm asking for you to be empathetic, give people rides if you can, ride the coaches, everybody on the side of my voice, and after 6 p.m. and on the weekends, that is worse. And again, the input meeting for DDOT is tonight. Commissioners, please join. Those at home, please join. Anyone listening, please join. You can also find that information at Detroit Department of Transportation on Facebook. My Facebook page is For Subservience Cunningham, and the hotline number 313-444-9114, as you see in the image, 313-444-9114, 313-444-9114. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next hand is Robert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Robert Blowski from Southgate, Wayne County. I'm a Wayne County Youth Council member for District 15, and I'm also an activist for public transportation all across 4 counties, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and Washtenaw. So the one thing I want to make note is the resolution by Commissioner Bell regarding the National Breast Care Awareness Month for October. I'm in full support of this. I do know people that have went through breast cancer. So this is going to mean a lot to them, and they are located in Wayne County. So this is really a great move, and I really commend you for all the work that you've done on this resolution. The second thing I want to make note is the green light recognition for veterans. I think this is long overdue, but it's finally starting to come into Wayne County to, finally represent our veterans and give them the recognition that they deserve and giving them a safe spot here in Wayne County. So, and the last thing I want to make note is transit. Now we are coming 3 weeks away from the election. And I've mentioned this over and time again. I'm pretty sure you guys are sick of me hearing about it, but we talk about transit, and the Smart Millage is on the ballot this November 8th. Unfortunately, I'm unable to make it in person, but the next meeting, I'm hoping to bring some flyers for you guys to educate you on the Smart Millage in Wayne County. I know it was already voted in the Wayne County Transit Board, but hopefully to get some more word out in front of the commissioners, but also members of the public as well. It is a critical election, but I hope to get you guys involved with some more meetings coming up. But as always, the last thing, Wayne County Youth Council meets tomorrow at 5:30. It is open to the public via Zoom. Again, Wayne County Youth Council, that is open to the public via Zoom. Public comment is allowed, but that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to your continual interest in public service. Is there anyone else on Zoom or on the telephone? Any emails, Madam Clerk? Okay, go ahead. 4?
On the telephone.
On the telephone. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Give your name for the
That's
record,
okay.
please.
How are you today? Yolanda Shepherd, President of Local AFSCME 1862.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. On behalf of my union members, I've been asked to just make a statement that we're not surprised. You all give us a raise. We certainly appreciate it. It's a certainly well-deserved raise. And now the county's turning around, going up on our health care cost. What's the point in giving a raise if you're just going to turn around and take it back in health care costs? The Affordable Health Care Act recipients get the same coverage at less cost than the Wayne County employees. We are absorbing these medical premium increases, and it's just absorbing our raises. That's certainly unfair. There are a number of employees leaving Wayne County to go work for other counties that are giving them health care for a lesser cost, and they're paying them more money. I've been a longtime Wayne County employee and a lifelong resident of Wayne County. I love my county. I love my city of Detroit, but the healthcare cost in Wayne County is just driving me away from my position right now. That needs to be looked at. It really needs to be taken into consideration. Some of these people can't absorb the healthcare cost increase. You know, currently, I work for DPS. I am doing the job of 6 individuals. You all don't pay me for 6 individuals. You pay me for one person, and I still stand here and I do the work. And I do the work because I do love Wayne County, and you know, it's provided for me, but now it's getting rough to continually absorb these healthcare costs, and it's just unfortunate. But we have to really consider something to help relieve this for the employees. And also, we are still after all these years waiting on some resolution on the pandemic pay. And this is on behalf of 1862. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can't respond to public comments, but stick around for another minute and I'll have some information for you. Madam Clerk?
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
First email is from Jennifer Panic. Dear Commissioners, I received a 7% raise as a member of Parks Local 1862. This was 3% less than the other supervisors in my union who all received a 10% raise. I just enrolled in healthcare benefits only to find out I will be paying $8 more every paycheck for the same coverage as last year. We are paying more for housing, food, utilities, gas, for our vehicles, and all other expenses. How are we supposed to get by and pay our bills, drive to work, buy food, and support ourselves, let alone a family? People are running out of options. We went years without a raise, and now the raise we receive will be taken right back to cover increased health benefits costs. Please give us a raise that will allow us. Email is from Anthony Plessia. Dear Commissioners, Pfizer executive Janine Small recently tested. Email is from Lisa Capatina. Good morning, Commissioners. As a constituent who has been engaged with your meetings for the last several months, I have witnessed a lack of respect shown by one of your members. Sadly, while the board was voting on multi-million-dollar contracts, one of your members was again found posting on social media before your meeting adjourned. Whereas human rights everywhere are an important issue for all, Wayne County citizens should expect the focus of your board during meetings be on the constituents you were elected and paid to serve, not on Iran or anywhere else for that matter. Your constituents deserve your focus, especially when appropriating millions of our tax dollars. Thank you to those commissioners who have served with the needs of Wayne County constituents as your priority while in Wayne County meetings and not posting on your social media. Thank you, Dr. Capatina.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Clerk, for reading those into the record. Next item, please.
Reconsiderations.
There are none. Next item.
Remarks by members.
Okay, a couple of remarks by members. I'll go first. So yesterday I sent out, this is to address the employees in particular, but yesterday I sent out a task force to look at benefits and staffing. We hear your concern, and as we've been talking about for the last few months, we understand that looking at benefits and getting a better understanding of why we're paying what for our different benefit packages, and then what we can do for staffing, understanding that salaries and benefits is a hindrance to people coming to Wayne County and staying at Wayne County. So I'm going to chair this task force. All the commissioners were mailed out or emailed the list of commissioners who are on it. And of course, it's open to all commissioners who want to attend. So please know that that meeting will probably happen in the first meeting in November, but I'll have a notice out for when that will actually occur. But we have taken all of your concerns to heart, and we understand that there is an issue. We want to see what we can do as a body to address it. Second thing, remember November 18th is the Tri-County Summit, Oakland, Macomb, and Wayne County. We will get together at the Detroit Zoo on Friday, November 18th from 9 to 3. Please, commissioners, come out. We don't want to get shown out by Oakland or Macomb in the number of commissioners that attend. So remember to put that on your schedule. Tim Johnson, Monique Baker McCormick, and Terry Marecki and myself have been working very hard on this Tri-County County Summit to make it meaningful and impactful for all three of our counties. So November 18th. Lastly, remember on November 3rd, we will have the portrait unveiling for past chairs Art Blackwell and Jewel Ware. We'll have our meeting, of course, and after the meeting, we'll go into a small, short program, unveil those portraits and have lunch afterwards. So please make sure that you allot your time accordingly on November 3rd. Lastly, for real, lastly, we were afforded an opportunity, when I say we, county and Michigan legislatures and county officials throughout Michigan were invited to the White House to talk about what the White House administration and the federal government is doing on behalf of Michigan. Many of our local elected officials were able to attend. The mayor of Detroit, the chair of the Oakland County Commission, the county executive of the Oakland County Commission as well, to name just a few. On behalf of Wayne County, Monique Baker McCormick was able to attend. And I don't know if she wants to give us about a minute of what that presentation was like, but it was awesome to have been invited, that they invited all of the elected officials in Michigan, and those that were able to attended and really got an earful about what they're doing with the infrastructure bill and different other federal programs to benefit Michigan and particularly Wayne County. So Commissioner Baker McCormick, do you want to share a minute of what that day looked like?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I attended at the last minute, got the information in my email and kind of zoomed over to the event, and it was very insightful. Basically, really, they were looking for information from us to basically tell them how some of the American Rescue dollars that we have appropriated, how that is impacting us directly. And so we just really sat around a round table and discussed best practices and made suggestions as to what could be improved. As Commissioner Bell stated, the mayor was there. There were other heads of various organizations there. We had a really insightful presentation from the Vice President and also the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm. She stayed around a while because, of course, she's our former governor. And she really sat in, well, they broke us off into different groups, but she sat in with us in our group, and we came up with some suggestions as how she could improve some of the initiatives that she outlined in the meeting. And that was the gist of it. It was a half-day event and quick in and out, and good information, and yeah, so that was it.
Thank you for going and representing Wayne County at that. It's nice to be invited to the White House to collaborate with how we can move Michigan and Wayne County forward. All right, any remarks by members? Baker McCormick.
Yeah. I want to remind everyone this Friday, you should have received an email about the Youth Council and their Advocacy Day in Lansing, which is November 10th. But on this Friday, we have a field trip to Wayne State University. The Department of Social Work has agreed to basically train the students in how to approach any advocacy issues when talking with the state legislators. So we'll have a short training session from 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow. Yes, that's tomorrow, at the School of Social Work And if you want additional information, please reach out to me afterwards. And we are looking for any staff or commissioners that want to go and help with the youth on November 10th to Lansing. And it'll be a full day from, we'll leave here at 8 o'clock and we'll get to Lansing about 9:30. We have a meeting set up with different elected officials. And then we'll have a tour of the Capitol. And then we'll go back to meeting with the legislators. And this is all to do with the gun reform resolution that was passed in April. So yes, I would love for some of you to come and help out if you can with the young people. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's going to be a great experience for them to go to Lansing. So thank you for that. Commissioner Basham.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. It must have been something I said at the last meeting because I noticed it's pretty vacant over here on the side of the aisle. So if you could get some temporaries to come here at the next meeting, I'd appreciate it.
Be nicer to your seatmates. Anyone else for remarks by members? All right, hearing none. Is there a